Hello, I'm Dr. Tara Palmatier of shrinkformen.com. Welcome to my channel and thank you for watching. The topic of today's video is the Narcissistic Woman's Relationship Manifesto, Part 1. So let's just dive in. I'm going to pull this up. Here we go. Okay. The Narcissistic Woman's Relationship Manifesto, Part 1, is the latest contender to enter the Shrink for Men, What the Actual Bleep Relationship Advice Thunderdome. The author is yet another self-proclaimed internet relationship expert who may or may not have legitimate, i.e., a graduate psychology degree and supervised clinical training credentials. Previous contenders include the Love Her Harder lady, the Emotional Labor lady, and the Don't Call Your Ex Crazy guy. All three of these individuals have also been subjects of the Shrink for Men articles and videos published on my website and here. If you go below the bar and read the video description, it will direct you to shrinkformen.com where you can click on the links for the articles and videos directly if you don't feel like searching for them. Okay. Sorry, pollen count is off the charts where I am, so I'm a little scratchy. Recently, a client shared a Twitter post from one Gia McCool, which is the subject of this 3-part series. That is her tweet and the information she disseminated therein. My client emailed the link so we could discuss it in session. Prior to reading her tweet, he was already feeling disheartened and discouraged by his dating app experiences. McCool's treatise did not help. In fact, it led him to feel even more disheartened and discouraged, as in if what McCool claims about women and relationships is true, maybe he should just give up dating altogether. Now, full disclosure, I'd never heard of McCool until my client shared her tweet with me. She claims to know what women really think and feel about men and what women secretly want from men in relationships. Her credentials are, and this is from her website, and I'm quoting this exactly, relationship coach, author, fitness influencer, and public speaker. She physically resembles one of the Kardashian sisters, for whatever that's worth. And according to my client, McCool also posts a lot of bikini selfies on her social media. In fact, when I asked my client why he was following her, he said, well, some of her content is good and the bikini selfies. Okay. Perhaps McCool doesn't actually believe her public advice. Maybe she tweets provocative posts for the likes and the money. Or perhaps her views truly reflect her own personal relationships and how she advises her coaching clients. I don't know. Nevertheless, let's look at her tweet. Okay, I'm going to read this directly. What I am about to share with you are not my words. They are relationship coach and fitness influencer and bikini selfie taker Gia McCool's beliefs on women, men, and relationships. Okay, so this is, again, directly quoting her tweet. What women don't openly tell men. She likes assholes over nice guys. She desires a man she perceives to be a challenge because she wants to earn your love. She will tell her girlfriend, I hate him, but secretly wants to F him. Her language, not mine. The more emotional she is, the more she cares. A man who complains is one of the biggest ick factors to a woman. Don't complain about women on social media. It's a huge turnoff. I think she has an irony deficiency. Okay, back to McCool's text. Okay, again, I am quoting McCool here. She wants a man who wins, period, capitalized. She doesn't want to hear about your struggles. A man who puts her mind at rest so she doesn't need to worry about things is a huge turn on. Women will always have a plan B. It's in our DNA. If the relationship has been troubled for too long, she will begin to slow release from him before she ever actually walks away. This is why men think women move on quickly. However, she just that's her grammatical error, not mine. She just implement her plan B long before she told you goodbye. If she is attentive to your needs, such as wants to cook for you, clean for you, do your laundry, give you endless sex, she is in love with you. What she wants from you is integrity. Girls don't want to hear some long, drawn-out, heartfelt communication from you. They want a dependable leader. Set boundaries and then act on your words. Nuff said. Deep down, every girl wants to relinquish control and submit herself to a man who is a competent leader. If you're a follower like her, don't be surprised when she ghosts you and walks away. All righty. Let's dissect this tweet from Gia McCool that has thus far been viewed by 1.4 million people, some of which are probably Twitter bots. Okay, I'm going to go through this in this video and the parts 2 and 3, item by item. I could have tried to do this all in one article, but it would be way too long for most people's attention spans, including my own. And same goes for the videos. So let's start with, according to McCool's rules, the McCool rule, she likes assholes over nice guys. Fellas, this is a red flag. Conversely, men who are more attracted to crazy women and find emotionally mature and stable women boring is also a red flag. These are opposite sides of the same coin, red flags for men and women who are seeking a healthy relationship partner. To be blunt, men and women who prefer assholes, crazies, and or crazy assholes to emotionally stable, kind adults have issues. Either these individuals are personality disordered, in which case, run, or they're codependents who haven't dealt with their codependency issues yet. Personality disordered people usually target nice guys and nice gals. We know that. And then once you've been love bombed and an attachment forms, they abuse the hell out of you. Narcissists, borderlines, and histrionics typically marry the nice guy or the nice gal and then become bored with them. Once boredom begins, contempt and devaluation ensue. It's pretty common for an NPD, BPD, or HPD to cheat on the nice partner with someone who is an asshole like them. Alternately, they find another codependent nice guy or gal, and then they dupe that person who is, again, if they're codependent, a people-pleasing rescuer, hero, fixer type, into believing that they're rescuing the narcissist, borderline, etc., from an abusive partner who is in actuality the nice guy or gal who is the one being abused. Some of you may know this as the Karpman drama triangle. Codependents, on the other hand, are often more attracted to disordered and or mentally ill partners due to a phenomenon called repetition compulsion. Codependency usually develops in families with at least one personality disordered, addicted, and or mentally ill parent. Adult partners with similar issues feel familiar and therefore more attractive and exciting to codependents. Codependents who haven't identified their destructive relationship patterns and begun to work on their issues aren't healthy relationship candidates either. Codependents confuse being needed with being loved. Therefore, healthier men and women don't appeal to them because healthy adults don't need to be saved, rescued, fixed, or taken care of like a 3-year-old child. Next point, or excuse me, what do I want to call this? The next McCool rule. There we go. She desires a man she perceives to be a challenge because she wants to earn your love. At the risk of repeating myself, red flag. This one is also true of emotionally unhealthy women and men. Whether the cause is codependency or a personality disorder, it's a dysfunctional belief. Many of my clients who struggle with codependency have this faulty relationship belief. That is, that you need to earn someone's love. For example, they don't believe they can be loved simply for being who they are, or that they have to prove themselves worthy of love. These beliefs typically arise in families in which a child is parentified, meaning a child becomes an emotional or physical caretaker of a parent or parents. In other words, a child's worth and identity develops around how well they caretake the parent and how much abuse they can tolerate from the parent. This becomes the child's definition and understanding of love. As adults, this transfers to their partners, and it's how codependents are made. For these individuals, when love seems too easily offered, in other words, you don't have to jump through an endless series of hoops and no-win situations, it doesn't feel like love to them. It doesn't feel as exciting, at least not based on their childhood experience of love, which was one-sided and transactional. Additionally, proving your love is a common theme in relationships with, you guessed it, narcissists, borderlines, and histrionics. Ultimately, you cannot prove your love to someone who is not capable of love. And remember, proving your love to a borderline narcissist, histrionic, or some other version of the crazy trail mix means never holding them accountable and allowing yourself to be used, manipulated, and abused, and to be grateful for the privilege. Okay, next McCool rule. She will tell her girlfriend, I hate him, but secretly wants to F him. Yeah. It's another red flag. This one seems like an example of something called a narcissistic injury response, meaning a narcissistic or borderline woman feels rejected and then hates the person who rejected her. These individuals cannot process rejection and loss in an adult and healthy manner. They lack the psychological capacity to do so. Not being harsh, they just psychologically are incapable of it. Instead, they react in ways that are destructive to themselves and others. Now, sorry. While the cuckoo is cuckooing, I'm going to take a sip of my tea. Sorry. You don't have to be a narcissist to experience a narcissistic injury. People who aren't disordered or codependent will express disappointment, hurt, and vulnerability when they feel rejected. Codependents usually don't handle rejection well either. It's common for codependents to go into a depression spiral in which unresolved childhood feelings of being unlovable or unworthy arise. When a narcissist or borderline experiences a narcissistic injury, they go into something called a narcissistic or borderline rage, and then they attack. Therefore, wanting to have sex with the object of hate is not about desire and unrequited love. It's a psychological defense to the feelings of inferiority that rejection elicits. Over the years, I occasionally end up with a narcissistic or borderline client on my caseload, despite my best efforts to screen them out. These men saw themselves as victims of borderline women. They weren't hurt in their rejection and the aftermath. They were angry. How dare that BPD bleep treat me like that after everything I did for her? And I want to clarify something. That on the continuum of healthy to pathological, that's a fairly typical hurt, grieving, anger response. And people who aren't disordered will move out of that. People who are disordered stay stuck pretty much permanently in anger. So let me jump back in there. So I was saying these men were not interested in grieving and healing. They wanted revenge. And their plan was to woo back their respective BPD exes, flip the script, and then dump them after making them suffer. And again, it's within the non-disordered realm of human psychology and behavior to have revenge fantasies when you feel you've been treated unjustly or been hurt very badly. However, people who are not disordered may indulge in those fantasies, but they usually don't try to carry them out. These guys had plans. They were going to do it. Okay. And even though I advise them, this really isn't healthy, let's focus on healing and moving on in our life, because the big win is you no longer care about this person and you get on with your life and, at some point have a happy, healthy relationship. They didn't want to do it, but they were determined. They hated their exes. And I think some of this has to do with regaining control. Like I said, this is nuts. So don't waste too much time on trying to understand it, because I don't know that you can. Okay. The next McCool rule. Oh God, this one. I'm sorry. The more emotional she is, the more she cares. Okay. Yeah. LOL to infinity. Seriously, I literally laughed out loud when my client got to this nugget. And as you can see, it still makes me laugh. Secondly, this is just wrong. It's just wrong. Shh. I suspect what McCool calls emotional is actually emotional dysregulation. And emotional dysregulation is, and I'm going to use a definition from the Cleveland Clinic. Emotional dysregulation is a mental health symptom that involves trouble controlling your emotions and how you act on those feelings. To those around you, your emotions and reactions will seem out of proportion compared to what you're reacting to. It's similar and closely linked to executive dysfunction. When you manage or regulate your emotions, you can steer and direct how you feel and react. Most people learn how to do this as children, ding, 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 and develop it as they get older. It's also a key part of being adaptable or resilient to challenges, learning, and more. An example of learned emotional regulation is how children eventually outgrow temper tantrums. Not the adult toddlers, though. Okay, the adult toddlers line is my ad lib, not the Cleveland Clinic. During childhood, tantrums are normal and an expected part of your child's development. As children get older, they generally learn how to manage their emotions. Well, not all children. Again, I'm ad-libbing. That's why tantrums become less frequent and eventually stop. Unless we're talking about someone who's, okay, that was the end of the Cleveland Clinic quote. And no, my take. Unless, of course, as you know, you've had a relationship with someone who is narcissistic or borderline, they can be in their 60s and still having adult toddler temper tantrums. Okay. In adults, emotional dysregulation is, as I've already mentioned, a personality disorder trait, particularly in BPD people. It's also a trait of people who are neurodivergent, have trauma conditions like PTSD, conduct disorders, bipolar disorder, obsessive compulsive disorders, and people with brain damage and dementia. Emotional dysregulation is not, I repeat, not a measure of how much a woman cares about you, nor is it a measure of how much an emotional dysregulation prone man cares about you. It is a measure of serious mental illness, a neurological problem, or characterological pathology. Next McCool rule. A man who complains is one of the biggest ick factors to a woman. People, men and women, who chronically complain and whine can be annoying, so fair enough. But taken in context with McCool's other relationship turnoffs, this could be interpreted as a lack of empathy. And a lack of empathy is yet another big relationship red flag. It is impossible to have healthy two-way street relationships built upon mutual respect and caring without integrity, empathy, emotional maturity, accountability, and a conscience. If any of these characteristics are absent in either partner, it isn't going to work no matter how hard you try. Excuse me, sorry. Or rather, it won't work well even if the relationship lasts for decades. Next McCool rule. Don't complain about women on social media. It's a huge turnoff. Sorry. Seriously? As I said earlier, I think this woman has an irony deficiency. To quote myself, projection is not just a room in the back of a theater. Okay. Social media, in case you all haven't noticed, is rife with memes, articles, videos, etc., of women complaining about men and men complaining about women. And men complaining about men and women complaining about women, and lots of complaining going on. However, there are female social media influencers / multi-level marketers who profit from complaining about men. Many of these women have made cottage industries from complaining about their partners and exes, not just men in general. Women and men who profit from claiming to be victims of an ex and then smear them for money and attention is a big red flag. I just wrote an article and did a video from it a few weeks ago. You can find it. I think the title is probably Making Money from Claiming to be a Victim is a Red Flag. Okay, so if a prospective mate, man or woman, habitually slags off an ex or exes plural, and routinely posts about how awful all women or all men are, you may want to reconsider a relationship with them. Eventually, once the devaluation stage begins, you will be smeared as the new asshole ex for likes and bucks. Okay. Just a slight detour here, and this is an example of sometimes you find good information in the least likely of places. There's an Australian comedian, Hannah Gadsby, whose comedy I don't find especially funny, However, in her 2018 Netflix special, Nanette, she makes what I think is an astute observation. During her Pablo Picasso rant, I can't get into that. If you're curious, you can find it on Netflix or probably YouTube at this point. Gadsby says, Picasso suffered, and I'm not going to even try to do an Australian accent. Sorry, I tried it earlier and it was really bad. Picasso suffered the mental illness of misogyny. Is misogyny a mental illness? Yeah, it is. Especially if you're a heterosexual man. Because if you hate what you desire, do you know what that is? Fucking tense. Sort your shit out. Okay, that's the end of the Hannah Gadsby quote. First, if misogyny is a mental illness, then so is misandry. I'm looking at you, Hannah. And by the way, misogyny is not listed as a mental disorder in the DSM. Nevertheless, Gadsby makes an excellent point. If you hate what you desire, it's a problem, a great big one. If you're a man who hates, fears, and mistrusts women, yet desires a relationship with a woman, it's pretty much a guaranteed path to misery and madness. Conversely, the same is 100% true if you're a woman who hates, fears, and mistrusts men, yet desires a relationship with a man. This is also a guaranteed path to misery and madness. Gadsby is right about this, even if she only holds men to account. If you hate and fear who you desire, you do need to sort that shit out if you want to have healthier, happier, successful relationships. Okay, so wrapping up part 1 of the Narcissistic Woman's Relationship Manifesto, I plan to, fingers crossed, crank out parts 2 and 3, the written versions, by the end of this week, and have the second part video done early next week. And in these articles and videos, I will continue to dissect McCool's truth. Remember, not the truth, her truth. McCool's tweet unwittingly describes how unhealthy and likely personality disordered women view men and relationships. In this respect, she provides a really great red flag list, what to watch out for. You won't be able to have a healthy relationship with anyone, man or woman, who holds the attitudes and sentiments McCool describes in her tweet. In other words, if a woman or man you're dating expresses similar beliefs or is a McCool fan who sees her as some kind of relationship guru, keep looking. It's akin to discovering your date believes Amber Heard is a victim. Come on. McCool does offer useful information if you choose to heed it, albeit probably not in the way she intended. Thank you for watching. Again, I am Dr. Tara Palmatier of shrinkformen.com. If you have a question or would like to schedule a session with me, you can reach me at shrinkformen, that's the number 4, not spelled out, shrinkformen@gmail.com or at shrinkformen@protonmail.com. I am trying to get off the Gmail, but I know that's going to be a slow process. So if you really want to contact me at Gmail, you can do that. Let's see, anything else? Oh, yes. I am on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky. I don't know. There's some other things I've signed up for, but I don't post there as regularly. Thank you again for watching. I really appreciate it. If you want to check out the articles, you can find the link in the description of this video. If you like it, give it a like. And please watch the ads. I make revenue from that. Have a great day and hope to see you soon with something new next week.